What's up, y'all? It's Sierra,
And Blue.
and we are back with another video. So we just gonna jump right into it. We are talking about the Queer Love Ultimatum Part 3, and it's a lot to unpack here. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So what you think about Mal and Yoly,
Whoa.
babe? Speechless.
Whoa. um, Basically with them, I feel like that was crazy. Like I did think that Yoly was gonna deny Mal's proposal and then, go with Xander. But to see her accept Mal's proposal and then she kind of like she met up with Xander without her ring on. Like I thought that was really like disrespectful towards the proposal that you just accepted, and I kind of felt like she was just trying to see where Xander was at to see who she was gonna pick because she was still like back and forth between them. So that was just crazy to me, and I did think that it was, interesting as far as like in the reunion that they were broken up because that's what I previously thought that they were gonna just split because Yoly just seemed so enamored with Xander at that point.
Yeah, I'm shocked too. I really thought that she was just gonna choose Xander because it seemed like, for one, it seemed like they already chose up, and the way that she was acting at the party just made it seem like she just was stringing Mal along, but she really seemed like she was like in love with Xander, gonna leave with Xander, committed to Xander, willing to like say, "Oh, let's get out of eyesight," lying to Mal. I just really seemed like she was gonna leave with Xander, and I do think that Xander was under that impression too because she committed to her end of the bargain. Like she, broke up with Vanessa and came over to her, and it seemed like she was shocked as well when Yoly was like, "Oh, I actually chose to leave with Mal." So Yoly was just playing the game. Honestly, she was very confused, but she was just playing the game, holding both of them. I feel like she was trying to hold both of them until like she finally made up her mind, but she never really, got to that point until she heard what Mal had to say, which I thought was interesting too, because I mean, she said, at least from what I heard her say that she was unsure until she heard those words from Mal. So if I were Mal, like I still wouldn't even want that to be the start of my marriage, because only reason that you said yes to me is because, I just came up with this awesome poem. Now like that was enough.
Right.
I just feel like Mal was, I think she dodged a bullet, honestly, by, splitting up with her, because who's to say that Yoly wouldn't act like that, with someone else in the future if they did decide to get married?
Yeah, and that's something that, she knew coming into this because the very first day she said Yoly was a lover girl and that Yoly was gonna, fall hard. She's seen Yoly in relationships, she's seen Yoly give her all and stuff. And it's like everything that she had feared about Yoly, like even to the point of her not being special, was confirmed true. And, having to go back and see the episodes and see that Yoly actually lied to her several times. And that was supposed to be even more than a relationship. They were friends first. So now at this point, as a friend, you lied to me in front of my face. You asked me to trust you. And then you're kissing and holding on to each other's hands. And that was something that I didn't like with Yoly, as far as like, why do you keep lying? And of course, like, I love how Mal stood up for herself and pointed all those out.
Snaps for Mal.
Man, snaps for Mal, because Mal was very strong and she has a lot of emotional intelligence and was able to, express herself in a way that wasn't disrespectful, that, let Yoly know what the real was and that wasn't cool, and it was just disrespectful because Mal even took it upon herself not to consummate with Lexi because she said, it would confuse things and stuff, and she knew what she was there for. And I was so happy that Mal, was speaking up and telling Yoly, like, no, I know your track record for telling the truth isn't that great. So I was happy Vanessa said what she said, so Mal could find out about the Hawaii trip because Yoly wasn't going to say anything. And even then, she was getting ready to lie. If Xander didn't say anything, she would have go ahead and held that lie because she said, "Oh, we're supposed to go to Hawaii,"
Right.
And she was like,
"Oh, right, that I was supposed to go to Hawaii."
Right, and she just gives these weird answers like, "I didn't know we were holding hands that long,"
Right.
Or, "I asked for a selfie." What?
Right.
Like, you know what you asked for. Like, be real. Like, be honest. And I think people would take to that a lot more than if you're lying and trying to like sneak behind backs and go forward, you know?
Yeah, I do think that she has a lot of growth, Yoly, that she needs to work on as far as like being able to be honest and real with yourself, regardless of what people feel. Because I do think that she was feeling some of that guilt of looking like, a bad person because you brought this person onto this show to get their situation together because you wanted to marry them. So to come on the show and then fall in love and then to leave the person you came with, I do think that she wasn't, you know, she said she picked based on loyalty. So basically she picked on what people expected her to do, and I think since her and Mal's lives are so intertwined, like Mal was able to get her parents' blessing for the marriage. And then we saw her friend that was even shocked, like, Yoly, like, what are you doing? So I think that since they were so intertwined in real life outside of the show, she just couldn't, be like, you know what? I found somebody, I fell in love. This is who I want. It doesn't matter what you say, my parents say, the homies say. It doesn't matter what anybody say. I'm going to choose the person that I love and go with my heart. She decided, as she said, to go with her mind, and that didn't pan out very well for her. So I do think, like, moving forward, Yoly should, take some reflective steps to see, like, what's the cause of the lying? Are you afraid? Are you just trying to be perceived a certain way? Or what is it? Because she's not even a good liar. Like, it's not even working. So.
Right. So that brings us to our next couple. Since we were talking about them already, Xander and Vanessa.
So you were right about that, babe, because you literally said in the other video that Vanessa was going to get left out in the cold. And that's exactly what happened. And I do feel for her because she literally has so much personal growth. And the reason that they were on the show, like, she accomplished that. She was able to decide that she does want marriage. She was able to decide that she does want kids. She does want Xander. And that was the whole idea of her coming there. So for her to accomplish that and then still not, get what she wanted in the outcome, I did feel like kind of bad for her because she was really trying her best. She was really trying her best. And I believe that Xander saw that she was trying as well. It's just that, Xander's heart was elsewhere and she wanted to be, 100% chosen and not
too little too late.
Right. Literally not strung along. That's what I said, not strung along. And now, like you said, it's too late. Xander had already, moved forward. So you were right. She did get left out in the cold.
Yeah, I kind of felt, I felt a little bad for her too, just because I'm not saying that Vanessa didn't do bad things, of course. Like, we all saw what Vanessa was doing, plus, what we didn't see, what they didn't show or air. But I do think that Vanessa had growth, and there was times that she was actually trying to truly apologize, but I think that wasn't well received because of how she presented herself to be in the first place. And I think everybody from that point basically cut her off. And I think I mentioned to you, like, during the whole show, I kind of felt as though, even though she was, the villain in the episodes and everything, I felt as though people weren't, accepting her growth because she had done those things. And it was kind of like, almost to me, like a felon coming out of prison. Like, no, I don't want that person to work for me. No, we can't be friends. I know what you did in the past. Like, nah, you're not the type of person that, and I do see that with her because I think that everybody, just didn't like her and didn't want to see her growth anymore and, think that she's fake. So they think that it's not real. But I do think seeing her now and, during the show, I think she did actually have that growth because you don't get to see yourself, and the things that you see and say, now you get to reflect on it because it's in your face. This is how you responded. It's no, like, no, I didn't say it. Like, it's right here, plain and simple. This is what you did. And she says she saw those things and wants to change those things. And it does seem like she's actively, doing those things. So I do see the growth there. And I do think that it was just too late for her and Xander, which is sad because, Xander and Vanessa do have a connection. There was something there, like they were both crying. They were both, they turned red and was crying. And, Vanessa showed that she wanted Xander, no matter what she was giving, like any kind of breadcrumb, she would take it. So there was something there, and they knew each other since high school. And when you have that kind of relationship, like when you go back with somebody, I think that it will be hard to tear. And I'm not sure that, they're supposed to have a romantic relationship, but, maybe Vanessa is supposed to be in Xander's life in some way, form, or capacity, even if it is, a friend and a long distance friend, like we call every once a month or whatever it is. But those two, I did see them not, working out. So to see that, that was still going on in the reunion, even though they tried after and they still weren't working out.
Yeah. Just like you said, sometimes just too little too late.
Very much so. So that brings us to our next couple, Lexi and Rae.
Well, I'm gonna stick with what I said. It's Lexi Rae and Vanessa because once Vanessa got into that relationship, she did not leave until it was over. So I do feel like you said, Lexi and Rae never really was able to get to their core problem of the reason why they even came on the show in the first place, because once Vanessa and Rae, had that situation, that's literally what their whole relationship became absorbed in. And yeah, they were able to, put it to the side sometimes and have fun or good moments. It just seemed like no matter what, somehow, some way, Vanessa popped right back up, and even Vanessa felt it because at the reunion, she was like, I'm sorry, and hopefully you could just forget about me, because it just literally, we all saw it. It was like, at that point, it was literally like 3 people in that relationship.
And it was nothing that Rae can do because she did that, and she wants to move on from the situation, but Lexi's not moving on, and you can't force somebody to move on from a situation. But I feel like if Lexi is in the forgiveness stage, then she should have been able to forgive her for that and be able to move on. So I wasn't surprised at the end when they said they weren't together, because I didn't think they were going to be together, because they didn't deal with that core root issue. They actually added an issue,
right,
and a very large one at that. And but one thing I will say is that I think Rae was like trying to find herself through the show, and I did see her growth as far as a person and speaking up and finding out what she wants and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can agree with you there, because Rae, she first came in so unsure, just didn't know anything and would just stand on that space of I don't know and just seemed like maybe be kind of comfortable there. But now it's like, she even said that she has growth. She is speaking up for herself. She is deciding more of what she wants. And the fact that she was even willing to get married to Lexi, it showed that, she did grow in that space, because the reason they came on the show in the first place was because, they weren't getting married. So I do think that they had some growth, but overall, I think the problem was the Vanessa thing. Now, they potentially could have worked, if that hadn't happened, but I just think since it was, and since Vanessa's, really like rubbed Lexi the wrong way, that Lexi just like basically saw her as like an enemy at that point, so it wasn't like, Rae slept with anybody or just a random person. It was like the one person that her girl wasn't getting along with. So that makes it a little bit harder to, get over. So I could understand Lexi there, but the stance that I feel is like, if you decide to take the route of forgiveness, you have to actually be committed to that, and I don't think you should engage in forgiveness if you're not ready. If you still have some feelings over it, then work through those before you say like, okay, let's forgive and move on, because to keep bringing it up, like that's not conducive to growth. You're gonna, every time it gets brought up, you're sliding back to the situation at first. So I just kind of think that's just one of those ways where the cookie crumbled in that way, because, Lexi couldn't get over it. Rae did everything she could. She took accountability. She apologized. She said like she felt really bad about it, and what more could, Rae do to rectify the situation? You can't go back in the past and fix anything, so I'm not surprised that they broke up.
So I know you did want to mention though that you did like love the proposal.
Oh yeah, I did love the proposal. That was new to me, seeing both of them get on one knee. I really liked that.
You did?
I did. I liked that a lot. That was cute. I'm like, okay, look at y'all.
Yeah, it was super cute. You gonna get down and propose to me?
No. That's not my fairy tale. No.
It's cool. I don't want you to.
Good.
Okay, so that brings us to our next couple.
Mm-hmm.
The bomb.
Yeah.
Tiff and Mildred.
That's a lot to unpack. I just want to first say that I feel really bad for Tiff because, it's one thing to be in a toxic relationship where you're just arguing, but to have it physically escalated and for you to actually physically get hurt and to have the police involved. And a lot of times, sometimes the police will come out and just make a report, but the fact that she actually got arrested,
Mm-hmm.
the police saw the damage there. They saw the toxicity and saw that she needed to be detained in that situation. So I feel overwhelmed for Tiff. Like, I just feel all the emotions that she felt. She never really got to speak her piece. Every single thing that she was saying was in defense of something that Mildred was saying. And I know that's how the span of the relationship has been. Mildred is, because even Mildred just started that relationship because they were talking about Shiloh, and as soon as Tiff had one opportunity to speak, that's when Mildred jumped in and just ready to attack. So if this is how you're acting on camera, with an audience, how do you guys act alone in that apartment? So I feel grateful for Tiff that she was able to be free from that situation, because to have to go through that week after week, that's a lot for anybody to deal with.
Mm-hmm. It's super stressful, and it was a toxic relationship. That's why I was surprised that Tiff proposed to Mildred.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I didn't think Tiff was going to leave there with her because there were another couple that hadn't dealt with their core issues. They were still in the honeymoon phase, which now I know, as far as like, that's why I really think you proposed, because you think you guys are good, but you're just in the honeymoon phase before the build up and the blow up and the reconciliation and back to the honeymoon. And that's what we saw. We saw the build up and the blow up here, because they never dealt with it when they got home. They were still in the cycle. And it was just so sad for me to see Tiff have to deal with that and essentially almost be ganged up on, because I think Yoly was coming to Mildred's
Yoly
defense
jumped in that too.
Yeah,
and Yoly is the last person that should be talking about anything. Like, what?
That was confusing. I was like, wait, why are you jumping in on this conversation? And I also thought it was strange that the host didn't intervene, or there wasn't it just felt like so many attacks. And that's something that I recognize with Mildred, is that she doesn't argue or disagree. She doesn't play fair. She goes for the low blow. She goes for the thing that's gonna hurt you, that insult that's gonna embarrass you,
emotionally scar you.
Exactly, because one of the things that I remember was that she was speaking on Aussie. When Aussie left, she picked up the trash bag, and all of a sudden she says, and there's tampons in here. Like, okay, and what's all the other trash in there?
Right.
Why are the tampons relevant? They're not. You're just trying to embarrass Aussie and bring up tampons in front of, national television and everybody that's watching all this. You're trying to embarrass her. And that's what she did to Tiff. Also, bringing up the sex board games, if that was even, true, bringing up the fact about the job and her connection with the kid and everything like that. I think she was going to actually hurt Tiff. She was going for stuff that she knew that Tiff would react to, because you're going for the low blows, you're going for the pain. And I saw that in her. She brings up stuff, and best believe, if you have an argument with her, your business is going to be told, regardless of what it is. And that's what kind of person I see in Mildred. And I don't think that she's had any growth, because she hasn't accepted that. She hasn't made any move to make anything different, because she doesn't think anything is wrong with her. She just sees what she's doing and not what, how she's reacting to her. Because how would you have felt if Tiff threw a pet gate at you?
Right.
Man, heck would have broke loose if that happened. And my mom and dad always tell me, you point a finger at somebody, 3 fingers is pointing back at you. And that's what I saw with Mildred. Like, she can point at Tiff all day, but she's has a problem.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's really, I guess, slowing down her growth, Mildred's growth, is the fact that she feels like the way she behaves is okay because of her race. And I do know that that is like a crutch for her because she's just like, oh, I'm a Latina. This is how we act. This is how my family acts. We all talk like this. You know, that's just what it is. You just got to take it. And it's like, I'm happy that Tiff was like, you know, your race does not excuse you for being disrespectful. You know, like you can't just rely on that as a crutch. But I think it for her, in her mind, it's perfectly fine for her to act like that. She doesn't see a need to change, you know?
Right.
And I do know that she knows that what she's doing is disrespectful because if someone that wasn't her race were to do that, then I don't think that she would condone it. But if it was someone within her culture, then it's just like, oh, this is just how we are, you know, and I don't think that that's right. Nor do I think that that's fair because for one, I don't think that's a general statement. Like I know a lot of people that are Latina that don't act like that, you know, and I know that like I said, she's using that, but at some point she's going to have to realize that this is not okay, you know, and I'm not sure if she'll ever get to that point because even through all this, through her getting arrested, she watched herself back. You know, she watched the clips just like everyone else. And, you know, even Yoly and Vanessa both said like, ooh, I didn't like looking at myself. You know, she came with that same energy. Like she didn't even seeing herself act like that.
Mm-hmm.
She just like, okay, and you know, like, and she came with it still.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure about her growth, if there will ever be growth, you know?
Yeah, I see that because I just didn't see her extend anything to Tiff. And Tiff had to leave. Like, Sam had to go get her, and I love that Sam was there and able to talk to her. And I think Sam and her were divinely put together because Sam was able to go out there, speak with her, get her calmed down, and she left in the car, and then gave the perfect answer when she came back. I mean, Tiff is doing as best as she can right now. I love that because Sam to me was like the person that was able to go, you know, deal with that situation. Like the host didn't go out there, and I know everybody's in shock and stuff like that, but for Sam to get up and say, no, that's not right, and I didn't like it, and that's one-sided. Like I was happy that somebody said something, and Tiff was totally being gaslit during that conversation.
Yeah. And I just could tell too, it's very telling that Mildred didn't receive any type of growth because like I said, it wasn't even like a natural argument, meaning like, oh, the host asked Tiff a question and then Mildred said, oh, that's not true, you know, and that's how the argument started. It was like Mildred came out just ready, like just guns out, ready to just aim it right at Tiff, and she did just that, you know. And you could tell she was like brewing over it for the year, you know, just ready to, you know, expose her and just really put her out there. And I just don't really like people that do that, you know.
Right.
It's not cool.
Well, I am, you know, happy for Tiff to be out of that situation because I know
she's free.
Right. That's a great thing in this, that she was able to see what, you know, that person is and break the cycle and, you know, hopefully get a new partner that can be more gentle and nurturing towards her personality and where they are going and where, you know, they want to go in the future. So I think that, you know, Tiff definitely now is probably, you know, focusing on herself. And I think that Tiff, you know, had that growth and it showed because at the end she was like, I'm not in this relationship anymore. So I don't have to hear you out.
Yeah, and I think that Tiff will receive exactly, you know, who she's supposed to be with. And I know that everything that she went through with Mildred is just lessons. And now when she's in another relationship where she's like, you know, dating, if someone kind of displays some of the same behaviors, she's gonna be like, you know what, I'm not dealing with that. I'm about to get out right now. So where she doesn't have to, you know, go down this long toxic relationship. I feel like now she's able to recognize like, okay, wait a minute, you know, especially since she had that great relationship with Sam. It was like someone actually in the flesh to show her who another option, you know, because sometimes we kind of fantasize like, oh, I need someone who's patient or whatever. But if you have someone that's physically in front of you, that's showing you patience, that's showing you love, showing you like, gentleness, then you know it's out there for you. And I do hope that she finds somebody that's, you know, like that for her.
Yeah, and cut all those Mildreds out. Don't do
Man,
that.
man.
Don't go back to that cycle.
Don't go back to that cycle. And I'm not surprised that her name ends with dread, because that's all that came from that. But anyway, that brings us to our last couple, Sam and Aussie.
They were one of the couples that I did think were gonna leave hand in hand, but I think Sam needed to give Aussie more time, and that's technically kind of what happened because they're still engaged at the reunion. So Aussie has had this time to grow, and Sam and her look great. They look like they're actually, you know, dealing with their relationship and compromising and being able to move forward, like as far as telling their families and stuff like that. I don't know how long they're gonna not know. You know, they might watch the show. So I think that was awesome for them, and that they grew as a couple and compromised. And Aussie and Sam, I feel in them a lot. I like where they're going.
I agree, and there was a lot of individual growth there too, because Sam was very much so patient to the point that she would reserve what she had to say, you know, and then Aussie was so impatient that she would just run away from the conversation whenever it got to be too much, or just leave. So the fact that Aussie was able to, you know, figure out even why she's triggered in conflict, you know, and able to get to the root of, she has inner child trauma that she needs to heal. And Sam was able to be like, no, I'm going to speak up for myself. I'm not going to just be quiet, you know, and regardless of how it makes you feel, this is how I feel. So the fact that we saw individual growth and growth as a couple, like, I do think that they really benefited from being on this show.
Most definitely. And the compromise, you know, Sam giving the space to Aussie, and Aussie taking some of that time away that she needs that space. And I think when you have it that you're compromising in a relationship, then you have somebody that actually cares about the relationship, because they're willing to adjust themselves or adjust a few behaviors for your benefit and their benefit, because now you guys can come to, you know, a happy medium where you guys are satisfied.
Right.
And I saw Aussie's growth in that, and I saw Sam's growth, how you said, like, they grew beautifully together. So I do see how the ultimatum just helped them and their relationship out a lot.
So what you think about that Pebble proposal?
It's actually funny that she did that, because I just remember when I was younger, there was this movie called The Pebble and the Penguin, and I just never thought anybody that, you know, would actually go out there and, you know, find a rock and give it to somebody. So it was kind of cute to actually see it, you know, fruition into a proposal, and seeing Sam's face like through it. I was like, okay, make a move.
Right.
Say like, something.
She's like, this is not enough. I'm waiting on you to finish.
Right. She's like, where's the rest? Right. And then she actually brought out, she's like, oh, you know, that's a nice rock, but I want that rock. Like, put it on my finger. But when she brought that out, Sam looked all happy and stuff. So I thought it was funny. And I thought it was like, you know, a little cutesy kind of proposal, something you won't forget for sure.
Right, that's a story to tell.
Exactly. I had to find the perfect rock.
Right.
Like,
and Aussie's so playful and so lighthearted that I'm not even surprised that she did that. It just seems like that's something that she would do.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I'm actually really happy for them. I hope we see some more of them in the future.
Yeah, most definitely. And I hope we see more dating shows. I think this was, you know, something that people can watch as far and learn. Also, like, there was different things that people can learn from watching other people. So I think that this is an opportunity for people to look at some stuff and see what they want and what they don't want and stuff and like that. So I loved watching this show. I hope that there's, you know, more that they come out with.
More queer dating shows.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see some more.
Right.
So we're going to end off here.
Yep.
And
make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe. If you have any thoughts that we didn't add, or if you just want to add to the conversation, feel free to drop it in the comments, and turn on your notifications so that whenever we drop a video, you guys will be the first to know. And as we like to end off all our videos on, see the light in each other and be the light for each other. Nucka nucka.
Nucka nucka.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.